Hey everybody, Nacho Steve. So I want to talk a little bit about the Grandes and the Quattros, basically what we showed at SEMA. This is for everybody that didn't get to attend. We're just going to show you what our booth looked like and what we were showing off this year. There's a lot of cool stuff and a lot of you haven't seen what we've got here. So first up, we're going to talk about the Grande. The Grande has been out for about a year, but it's still really new technology. It's absolutely the most advanced light on the market. So before we get into all the electronics, let's talk about some of the cool stuff that are on the outside. First up is going to be the grip lock mounting system. So if you look at this right here, you can actually mount that directly to a 1.5 inch tube. Now, the lights, of course, come with their standard bracket. You can see on the side over here. But if you want to get creative, or you're building bumpers, or you're doing something that you've got some fab work, you can screw it right to it. That's also our solution for a linkable light bar. We don't want to use a linkable light bar because there's too much hardware, there's too many things that can go wrong. Every one of those joints is a fail point. So what's a simple solution? Just a 1.5 inch DOM tube. It's super secure, it's lightweight, and it's super strong. We have the replaceable exoskeleton, just like the Quattros. The exoskeleton is fully customizable. You can take it off, you can replace it if you damage it, and I think we sell this for $25 retail. So it's super cheap. If you want to get a couple, you can customize it. And of course, it holds the covers. Every light comes with a black ARB cover and an amber nacho cover. The light we're looking at down on the end here, that is not an amber light. That's just a standard light out of the package that has an amber light in it. You want to go from amber to white? That's how long it takes. No tools. You don't have to open up the light. You don't have to order anything else. You've got these, they're super easy to store in your glove compartment. Just put them in, now you've got an amber light. So let's talk about the electronics in the Grande. The Grande is so cool because from a wiring standpoint, you wire it directly to your battery, just through a fuse. So you've got all your high current wiring is going to the battery. And then you've got 3 assignable trigger wires. And those trigger wires can be any of 8 different modes that are in the light. And you're like, well, what? 8 different modes? How do you change the modes? Well, you've got your source rewind. Also really good at picking up 10mm sockets. So you take your source rewind and you turn on one of the switches. And then you hold your source rewind to the side. And now you can scroll through any of 8 different modes. So what are the 8 different modes, you ask? Well, you're going to have high and low beam combo, high and low beam spot typically, high and low beam drive. So if you want your power into a wide drive beam, you can do that. And then we've got our backlight mode, which is typically done as one of the modes because you got to look good. Looking good's half the battle. And then one of the other cool things we do on the Grandes, the backlight, instead of using just a couple LEDs to give you a little bit of glow, we actually use 12 more high power LEDs. And those high power LEDs, I can actually turn into a floodlight. So I'm going to set the floodlight in. So now that's my backlight. So I've got 12 LEDs just for a floodlight or the backlight and 12 LEDs for the projection light. So if I go from backlight to floodlight, that's the perfect light, because the worst thing you can have when you're going slow is that fireball, that super, super intense light, because what happens is your eyes dilate to that and you can't see anything outside of it. So the best thing you can have, if you just watch, see how much light is on me off center? That's what you want when you're going slow. You want this super broad floodlight so you can see everything. The Grande is going to be the most versatile light on the market because of that. There's also all kinds of other cool electronic features in there because we use little processors. I mean, there's 3 little microcomputers in every one of these lights. Well, one of those little microcomputers, the chips, we actually look at the voltage, and we call it no hike technology. And that no hike technology is we actually monitor the voltage. So from anything above 13 volts, we're going to give you 100% output. From 13 to 12 volts, we're going to drop it down to about 80%. And what that does is that protects your wiring, that protects your battery. Now, if you go below 12 volts, what's happened is your stator's died, your alternator isn't producing enough power, and something is happening in your vehicle. So the worst thing we can do is keep the lights on at 100%, because pretty soon you're going to have a dead vehicle. So we actually drop the lights down to 10%, and we hold that 10% output all the way to about 8 volts. So the idea is that you'll have enough light to get back to camp, but we're not going to destroy your vehicle's electrical system in the process. And that's why it's no hike technology. You will never hike back to camp because of our lights. Kind of the same thing with the thermal. Every LED light gets hot. So we use software and a processor to monitor the temperature. So we keep it at 100% all the way until it hits that critical temperature, and then we start dimming. So if you've got even a wisp of air over these lights, you're going to get 100% output. Most traditional lights on the market, stuff that we've done in the past, as soon as it starts dimming, as soon as you turn the light on, the power starts dimming as the light heats up, and then it finds its happy spot, usually 80-85%. With ours, you get 100% light output at almost any airflow. From a model standpoint, on the Grandes, we've got two different series. We've got the Grande Supremes, and then we've got the regular Grandes. The regular Grandes are going to be 80 watts. And then the regular Grandes, we've got a 4 low and a 4 high. And it's not a low beam and a high beam. It's going to be a narrow and a broad beam. The 4 low is going to be if you're using your light, if you're going to be using the lights mostly in 4 low. You know, it's going to be a 40 to 50 mile per hour light beam, a little bit broader. So the spot, the narrow beam is going to be a little bit narrower, and the wide is going to be even wider. The 4 high goes in a little bit narrower, so it's going to project out further. You're going to get a tighter spotlight and a little bit tighter driving beam. Both of these still have that super broad 150-degree floodlight. So no matter what, you're still going to get that. Every light has that. Then we also have something that's really cool. We have an amber white. It gives you full power amber or white. So you can go full power amber, and then you can go full power white. Same beam on both. And then, of course, you can go back, floodlight, backlight, and all on. So it's really cool. The 3 modes, you can have full power white, full power amber, and then looking good. Just as an example of how you could assign the 3 wires. In the Supremes go up to 140 watts. And these are going to be the absolute highest performance lights on the market in any size at any price point. We've got the Supreme 100, which is designed for 100 miles an hour. It's going to give you about a 600,000 candela spot with a beautiful 40-degree wide drive beam. And you can take 80 watts, put it in the spot, 80 watts into the drive, or 140 watts into it. Just the best combo light you've ever seen on the market. And then the all other light killer, we've got the Supreme 150. And you guessed it, it's a 150 mile an hour light. It's going to be 1.1 million candela of 5-degree spot beam. This is brighter than any laser on the market. This is the brightest light on the market, and we give it to you in a very usable 5-degree beam, all LED technology. And on top of that, you still get all the other advantages: direct wire, grip lock mounting, replaceable exoskeleton, and 150-degree floodlight. So you've got basically a light that'll project a mile down the road, and you've got a 150-degree floodlight all built into one. So that's kind of the Grande product line as an overview.